I was keeping it real, man.
Without anxiety.
African time, my man.
African time.
All of us are artists. We do this because we love what we do. And because we love what we do, if we do it lovingly, people will feel it. That's what connects us all the time.
Yeah.
You might be on a high and mighty stage, but once you project love, everyone in a room feels it.
Sibambe sonke, sibambe. Otherwise kuzonakala.
Where's my eyeline, by the way? Oh, cool.
We actually don't listen to house music.
Yeah. 1, 2.
We're jazz crazy, but we make house music.
1, 2.
Is this a jazz festival?
1, 2.
I can't say that I'm not nervous.
Hey, Bo.
Because I can't tie my words together. So
1, 2, 3, whoa.
This music is from the hostels.
Hey, Bo.
This music is called African time music. African time, it's not about being late, as people would say. Everybody says it. Oh, don't keep your African time here, yeah? Bro, you must come on time. But for me, African time, as I define it, is to arrive at your destination safely.
Yeah, it's our last one, and I'll kill you. Hey, Bo. Hey. 3, 2. Believing with all my heart.
Ladies and gents, please, I need you to go crazy. Make some noise for
Believing with all my heart. Please listen to these wonderful kids.
We've actually made a bold move this year. We've actually booked about 21 live bands. We've booked in 3 stages. We're running the festival over a period of 2 days.
Mikasa,
Jazzanova.
Lyra,
Mikasa, Lyra, Slice Lota, Kasa,
Here to have fun,
Zex Mantwini, Mikasa,
laughter.
and Zex Mantwini.
Mikasa.
What I like about this lineup is the fact that it's able to accommodate the old, the young, thinking of your Mikasa and Lyra. So it's more eclectic.
It's always been the objective to come up or to create a big festival, something that can, compete in the same space as the Cape Town International or your tribute concert in Mamelodi, Moretele Park. But obviously we wanted to find a middle ground between the more elitist type of festival and the very informal kind of gatherings that you get at venues like Moretele Park. And fortunately, we came across some people who wanted to fund or wanted to come to the party.
Most South Africans are in love with music, and Toyota being the most loved brand in terms of automotive category, we just felt that's a lovely opportunity for us to connect to the customers. And the artist lineup is also fantastic, so customers can actually enjoy the talent plus engage with our brand. There's a lot of the Toyota employees and our customers that are big jazz fans, and that's why we decided to get involved, is to share the jazz with the customers and our clients. And we also believe in supporting local talent, and Drumbeat is a wonderful opportunity for us.
And yeah, we decided to go big. We're bringing out Jazzanova from Berlin. They're featuring Paul Randolph from Detroit, USA. We've got the cream of South African entertainment, from Zex Bantwini to Asanda Bam to Sibongile Kumalo, Mikasa, Lyra, Stimela, you name it. So it's a big night out.
Music is part and parcel of who we are as South Africans. We sing when we're happy, we sing when we're sad, we sing when we want to stop being sad in order to be happy. So South Africa and music are basically one and the same. Music is deeply rooted in who we are as a society. I think someone once said we're the only country that sings even when we're striking. Even when we're fighting, we will sing a song about it. So why not sing when we're celebrating something, you know? And this occasion is one of those occasions when we get together deliberately to celebrate our music as a collective, and it's just fantastic. So it's very important.
I usually freak out like crazy before I get on stage, but tonight I'm a lot more relaxed, I think. Yeah, today I'm excited. I'm glad we've been rehearsing. This is the most nerve-wracking time. Just the few moments before you have to step on. It's exciting.
It was a difficult one, trying to discover the sound that I would ultimately come out with as an artist.
And experience the ultimate hypocrisy.
On that journey, I just decided not to put any kind of pressure on myself in terms of trying to be anything specific. I mostly took inspiration from the kinds of music I've been listening to growing up. So it's a bit of like Afro-pop, it's a bit of Afro-soul, and it's a nice fusion of Spanish elements as well that come into the music, which is interesting, and some hip-hop. So it's a little bit of everything, and every song really kind of is its own song.
And experience the ultimate hypocrisy.
It's a jazz-oriented festival, but we do all jazz-related and jazz-associated genres. So you'd still get a band like Mikasa.
We are Mikasa, and we do soulful house.
But they still, you know, maintain some jazz twist.
And we're heavily rooted in jazz, man, beyond our productions.
So it is, yeah, it's a jazz festival, but it has an Afro and a dance twist.
Give it up on the trumpet, my man, Moti!
Jazz is big, because I mean that's an instrument where I think even if you're like you want to master it or learn it properly, jazz is the way to go. Man. We're jazz crazy, but we make house music, so you know.
Every big South African artist that, you know, has done it big inspires other South African artists. So from the likes of Steve Mela to Lyra to Zakes to, you know, the list is endless, man. I think they've got a great lineup, and we're so proud to be here as well.
You can just take out beats like dance beats and put the jazz beats.
It's jazz infused into house.
Exactly.
Hey, are you ready for the last one?
When you are informed by jazz, it's very easy to move to another kind of genre that you want to create, you know. Ancestral meeting. We are here to make our voices heard. This is what this song is called. There are many of us in this world, you know, so many bass players, so many singers, you name them. Yeah. Ancestral meeting. You know, in my neighborhood, there was a lot of music around my neighborhood, you know. I think this whole thing has been in my subconscious for some time now, for almost 2 decades, 2.5 decades. I used to play electric bass, you know. So I happened to feel in love with this one, the double bass, because of the wood and the sound. Most usually it's very good for my compositions because they are very rural compositions, because I'm a kind of a primitive man, you know. I still believe in those olden days music.
Give it up for Passion Static, ladies and gentlemen. Let's do this.
Lately, hear them going around saying love was burned down, ashes on the ground. If that
I started as a classical pianist at the age of 9. I went to varsity and I decided to do jazz. And it's basically liberated me on keys because I've got the discipline of classical and the freedom of jazz.
I will find it when I look into your eyes.
Look, we have 3 stages. We have the main stage, where bands like Jazzanova, who've collaborated with many world greats, are playing. We have the OR Tambo, where we're putting up the strictly, more or less pure jazz acts. You know, you've got Sibongile Khumalo playing there, Asanda Bam, Adam Glasser with Becky Koza and Pinisoso. We think youngsters are gonna find time to look at those acts and pick up 1 or 2 things. Look, the stages run from 2 o'clock in the afternoon until 2 o'clock in the morning. And then we have a jam session, an open mic kind of thing happening at the piano lounge. So that's when you can expect youngsters to start collaborating with the old cats.
It's a very eclectic choice. You've got Sibongile Khumalo alongside Lyra. It's a dream combination, you know? It's almost like handing over the baton. It's very symbolic. That's how I find it. You would have Jazzanova, and then the other stage you would have Zoe Arthur. So it is eclectic by design.
I'm gonna leave it for now without another mention. We should be letting go instead of holding on. But in the eyes of my mind, I'm just
I think, jazz in itself, from its roots, has always been like a genre of fusion, like as much as we are hip-hop per se, but we fuse so many other genres in it that we're somewhat like a neo version of what jazz was back then in the 50s. I think, I'm sure there's like some hectic, like, orthodox jazz like followers who are like, no, you're wrong. They're like bashing the TVs and like whatever.
South African musicians have been very successful at moving with the times and yet keeping that originality.
As an American growing up with jazz, and my father had Hugh Masekela Records and all those folks. Even as a child listening to that music, I could tell there was a distinct difference in the approach to the music. It was about an interpretation of something that they were influenced by. So it has its own distinct character. It's not American-style jazz. It's very much South African-style jazz.
You've got artists like Lyra, for example, who is enjoyed in New York equally as she's enjoyed in Johannesburg. That is how worldly it has become, and you have a lot of our artists who have gone on to be ambassadors internationally. By not really adopting or adhering to what you may classify as contemporary pop music, but really staying true to the sounds of home and yet being relevant to an international market. And I think we're very lucky, and I think it's an indication of the depth and of the talent that we have in South Africa and Africa as a whole, hence the interest in our music.
My opinion is that South Africa is continuously trying to identify itself in the global market. We're all trying to find our uniqueness and a space that we can fit in that will appeal to the global market. Double HP's doing this, I'm doing this. I know Liquid Deep are out there doing their thing. Particularly with the female artists of my generation, there's like a similarity among us that we call Afro Soul. And what it is really is young girls that are very much influenced by jazz and R&B, but really trying to root it in languages that are uniquely South African, in elements, in drum patterns that are typically South African, because we do feel the need of identifying who we are in the huge sea of options that people have out there in the world. I think we're finding it very important and necessary to define who we are.
Okay, I like everything that makes me happy. So all these different genres put together excite me. Putting jazz, adding in electro, making pop.
Mam Sibongile Khumalo is one of those people that I really, really respect and look up to.
R&B, bit of soul funk.
An artist called Amel Leroux. She's got a very much of a jazz background.
Mazakela, Letambulu.
I know Lucy likes the Rolling Stones and
Paul Simon, Dave Matthews. I mean, my father grew up listening to a lot of OJs, for instance, like that old school kind of rhythm and blues vibe from the US and stuff. The Commodores, the Tavares and 2 Tons of Fun, all that kind of vibe. I think that a lot of the musicians who are held, at high regard here in South Africa somehow also used to listen to those kind of musicians like Stimela, for instance. Stimela, their music sounds a lot like OJ stuff, like their grooves and the way although they are uniquely Stimela, they don't sound like anybody, and I haven't heard any band that makes music that sounds like theirs. They only make their own kind of brand music, but I always have that touch of wow, I'm sure Ray Perry used to love OJs when he was coming up or whatever, so they've influenced me in that sense of saying you could take something that's already existing in the US and kind of flip it and make it your own, localize it or whatever,
It dates back to Sophia Town, the smoky rooms, and you can hear Dolly Ratebe belt out a tune. And even though the times were not so great, I mean, if you look at the birthplace or the time or the era that gave birth to the music that we today call it definitive South African jazz, it was a very dark place. And because it was so dark and it was so painful and so wretched, I think it was very deep. And since then, everyone has had to really work really hard to match that kind of depth that it originated from. And till today, you could be anywhere in the world and you would not mistaken it for anything else.
Let me alone, leave me alone. Wait for no man. Can't you see that?
Jazz is indeed evolving. There are obviously a whole lot of people who just want to have the music staying the same. They will say, no, it's not music anymore because you guys are using computers to program. But what can you do with technology? We're no longer in the New Orleans or in the Sophia Town. I mean, even Hugh Masekela, the jazz legends, when they do their music right now, it's really different. I mean, the track that he did with Thandiswa Mazwai, yes, it still has those jazz elements, but it's no longer Sophia Town type of jazz. It's no longer New Orleans type of jazz. It's something different. It's a new millennium. It's the 21st century type of music, which I appreciate.
You were lying, you wasting my time, 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 don't wasting my time.
When we're in Europe, when we're overseas, people will liken Hot Water to Paul Simon to Graceland because the sound is basically a combination of South African or African music with Western music, with folk, with pop, with rock. So that's the sound that you get, and that's what Paul Simon did as a sort of folk rock pop player. He came to South Africa and played with all these South African and African musicians in 1987 and created, a masterpiece, I think.
About a young boy left from his hometown. There is a story about a young boy.
The role of musicians to process on a level that the financial processing or social changes or political changes, those are all important areas. What takes care of the psychological and emotional areas of people, or of a country? How do you do that collectively in a way? I mean, there's many ways to do it, but music is an extremely powerful one. That's why people have used it for as far back as we can kind of remember.
We're not called the Rainbow Nation for nothing. We are a very diverse country, and I think these kind of events kind of symbolize that, who we are as a people.
My music, for example, it incorporates different people. It's not specific to race. I've got different songs that can be in certain languages, but like the basic message is about unity, and that's what I'm trying to do with my music. I've had a gig in Ulundi where it's just straight black, if I could put it that way. And then I'll have a gig in probably like at MK, and it's like a different audience, but they'll all understand it. And having everyone together, I enjoy diversity. I grew up that way. If shows like this happen that involve different kind of people, I feel like that offers us a pedestal, I guess. Upcoming artists that actually thrive on the diversity of their crowd.
Vusi and I had the same agent, and that's how we ended up playing together.
Working with Karen, it has been really great. You know, she's very energetic. She's got that passion and then that fireworks, you know, whatever, and then she lives, you know, her art.
It's not like doing a collaboration with Honor Carstens or any of the other ones that I've done. He's a true freedom fighter, and his heart is just so big.
It's not about trying to make a certain statement over the music or trying to, you know.
He's one of the most amazing South Africans. He's a saint, you know what I mean?
Music comes to you and it directs you where it has to go. And then I have to do justice to what comes to me, and then I follow that.
And it was a fun way to create crossover audiences for both of us. And we were supposed to do it as a once-off, and I think this is our 15th show. So it's been really cool.
I think it's going to be one of the biggest highlights on the Southern African cultural calendar. There's nothing happening right now in winter. Obviously, the plans are to move it, you know, towards summer. For now, for the next 2 years, we're doing a winter festival. It's a winter warmer for the Joburg Massive, for the SADC Massive. So yeah, we think it's going to be a beacon on the cultural calendar.
It gives us as artists a wonderful opportunity to put ourselves forth in our music forward. And I'm just very grateful to have been part of this experience of the Drumbeat Documentary 2012.
I'm also here just to learn and all that and go with the flow. But at the end is to enjoy and then give also what I have, you know, the best to the people who come to really listen to the music.
To be a part of this process, you know, it's an honor, you know.
You know, big ups to Drum and to the rest of the people that organize it, because, you know, it's always nice to be able to play in front of a big crowd on a big stage and be able to bring the full band and, you know, have fun. And I think it's important for us, man. It is definitely something that is great.
Waiting for you, so give me your hand so that we can finally fly into our dream. The thought of me and you together. Oh no, yeah. The two of us from now forever.